Welcome back to another developer interview. They just keep coming. People seem to want to talk to me because I am somewhat of a disarming and interesting person. I don't know, whatever, but we're getting into another developer interview. Okay, if you grew up with the Pokemon games on the Game Boy and Game Boy Color way back in the day, this next game is going to subvert your expectations, but keeping it in the same style. Because I have with me Joe. It's average Joe, but he's not an average guy. His talent is above average when it comes to making video games, in my
Oh,
opinion.
you
And
flatter me.
and we're gonna talk about his game, The Edge of Allegoria. So if the title doesn't speak to you, you're gonna just find out. So Joe, welcome to the channel. Appreciate you being here.
Thanks, man. Appreciate you having me.
Yeah, excited to talk about this game. I've been seeing much about it because you've been posting a lot in the Lucy Discord, been seeing it online, and so you even have your own poster, so which is great.
Oh
Right behind
yeah,
you. Yeah, it's
yeah.
awesome.
I just ordered that one. I'm headed down to DreamHack Atlanta in a couple weeks.
Okay.
So I've got a big old vinyl banner here. I've got one of those like
Yeah.
retractable banners. I've got some little plastic bead art that I'm
Hey,
putting
look
up
at
on the
that.
table
I love it.
with
Looks
some
just
of
like
the
you.
characters from the game and stuff. Yeah, it's gonna be
Nice.
exciting.
Dude, I'm excited. So if you're in Atlanta, if you're going to DreamHack Atlanta, please check out Joe's booth at the Edge of Allegoria. Hopefully, I guess by the time this releases, it won't be yet, but we'll see. But if you're in Atlanta, hey, holler at Joe because he wants to talk to you about his game. So let's start at the beginning. You are a solo game dev, and video
Yeah, I
games are
sure
your
am.
thing, obviously. Is that where you started, or where did you come from before you started making your own games?
Oh, well, I started making games back when I was like 14, 15, something like that. I really got into the old Flash animations with the
Okay.
like the stick figures, sword fighting and
Oh,
stuff like that.
like the Zhao Zhao stuff?
Yeah, like the old stuff on
Yeah.
Newgrounds and
Oh man,
U-Bombs World and stuff.
I watched that stuff all the time growing up. It was so
Yeah,
much
man.
fun.
So my brother and I, we really got into that. We didn't have Flash
Yeah.
or any other animation programs, so we actually used PowerPoint and just like
Really?
copy and pasted our stick figures in different forms, and then like went into the PowerPoint timeline and set all the times to like 0 in sequence and animated through there. And I was
Yo,
like, we need to find something cooler than that, and that's when we stumbled on Game Maker
I
and
didn't
started
even know
learning how to
you
do animation there.
I didn't even know you could do that in PowerPoint. That's incredible.
I probably shouldn't have done that in PowerPoint because like you get a slide and it would just be
Okay.
this like big blob of
Okay.
just something of
Yeah.
just like hundreds and hundreds of these groups of basic shapes because I wanted to do the stick figure animation too. So
Yeah.
I'd make a circle and then do the lines and everything and then highlight them all, group them together, copy paste, change one thing slightly, copy paste, and then go back through everything and then set the order in the timeline. It was super tedious. It was all I had. It's what I did. And then we found Game Maker and started getting into doing that, and it kind of just became a hobby for me for years. I'm turning 33 in a few days,
Okay.
so it probably 18 years that I've been kind of making games as a hobby.
Wow.
Um, and then I mean, I wouldn't say it's necessarily a hobby anymore.
Yeah.
But about 2.5 years ago, um, I kind of decided like this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
Kind of changed direction because I was working in an office job. I worked for it was a telemarketing company,
Okay.
using like specialized software and stuff like that. So I was like in
Sure.
the IT back end kind
Yep.
of stuff, doing
Yep.
software development for them.
Okay.
Um, and I was like, yeah, I use audio recording equipment for work. I use
Mhm.
like programming knowledge for work. Why not take my knowledge of like my coding and my art that I do, like just doodling in my notebook during super important Zoom meetings and stuff
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that. Like,
yeah.
oh yeah, I'm taking notes. Meanwhile, I'm like drawing little characters. Um,
I'm
and I was just
totally
like, you know what?
working
I'm
right
doing it.
now. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't invest in one of those like auto mouse jigglers though. I did work most of the
Oh.
time.
Oh
But
man,
during
I
meetings, I was 100% drawing pictures.
okay. Oh man, if you listen to this and you used to work with Joe, so he wasn't really working. So
Hey,
exposed.
they laid me off.
Oh,
Whatever,
okay.
man.
Yeah, yeah. It is what it is. Yeah,
One of
that
those. Yeah, we don't need you anymore.
dang,
And
that's
they
tough.
totally did. I got a call like a couple months later. It's like, hey, so are you? And I'm like, nope,
You're like, you
missed that
laid me
boat.
off.
I worked for you
Why?
for 11 years and you let me go because you just didn't need me anymore.
Yeah.
No, 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 no.
Dang, that's messed up. Yeah. So seems like IT is a good breeding ground for a lot of creative and technically minded people. Because I also work in IT. That's my day job as well.
Yeah,
And
man.
but I also I came in with a music background, so I went to school for music and I play music as well as like leading worship for my church and all that. And now I work in IT, and then I do this. So it's like, yeah, IT is a good place for cultivating a lot of good technical skills for the
Oh yeah.
creatives, because you,
And
even if you have a creative mind, if you work in IT, you can help flesh out a lot of the programming stuff. So I hear a lot
exactly.
of people who are artists, and like artists, musicians, game developers. A lot of them I've like worked in some sort of technical job to help them with
Yep.
their craft. So it's great. I love it. So yeah, Game Maker. It shows that you've been working with Game Maker for a long time, because it shows in the polish of your game. I mean,
Thanks, man.
I'm not a crazy developer, but I know I can spot a game that looks good when when I see it, because there's a lot of polish of it. So yeah, working with Game Maker. Are there, so outside of the Edge of Allegoria, are there games that exist or unlisted that you've made or like published?
There's a couple. I've got on itch.io. I've
Okay.
got a couple. There was one I did for uh, a game jam. A couple that I did for game jams. One was it's called 99 Gorillas, where it's like kind of like Enter the Gungeon controls. Like there's just
Okay.
that
Yeah.
WASD and the mouse controls and with the dodge roll, and you're basically just running around a forest that's just randomly generated,
Okay.
being chased by 99 gorillas, and you have to kill them all. Um,
I gotta look that up.
and
Oh
then
man.
there's Snakes and Ladders that I did. That was for my dad's 60th birthday.
Okay.
Because when I
What a cool
was
gift.
really, really young, my dad was in college for programming,
Okay.
and he was like learning Visual Basic, like the 90s programming stuff.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And he was like, I was like, you're learning how to program things. Let's make a game together. And the first game that we ever tried to make together was Snakes and Ladders.
Oh.
And we never completed it because I was like 4 or 5 at the time.
Okay.
So no interest. I just wanted
Yeah.
to play the game.
Right, right.
Um, but so for my dad's 60th birthday, I was like, I'm gonna make that Snakes and Ladders game that I wanted when I was a kid and give it to my dad for his birthday. So that's up
Dude,
there. And
that's
there's another
awesome.
one.
I love that. What a cool memory. I'm sure he was super surprised by that.
He completely forgot
Oh, he did.
about that.
Oh man. It's like, what?
I was like,
This?
this is like the reason why I do this, like
It's a core
why I
memory for
like
me, Dad,
making
and you just
games.
forget?
Yeah.
What? What?
Oh yeah, I remember now. Yeah.
Oh,
Totally
that's
forgot.
funny. Man. All right, so you got those two up. When did the idea get seeded for Edge of Allegoria? When did that start coming about?
So in 2021, I'd actually started making a game called Malignance. It was gonna be like a walking simulator, talking kind of mystery. It there's something on the internet. I don't know if it's up anymore.
Mm,
But I started making that game and doing all the coding and programming and everything like that, working with a guy that I worked with at my old job,
okay.
because he was a writer, and I was like, I'm not confident in my writing skills. You do the writing, I'll do the stuff. We worked together, and then things kind of fell apart. It's like we weren't. I was really invested in it, and he was not so much invested in it.
Okay.
So when that kind of fell apart, I decided like I want to keep doing this. Like this is what I want to do. And I was just doodling one day because I would always like on weekends I would sit down, I'd open up a new project and just try to create some sort of prototype
Yeah.
over the course of the weekend. That was like
Right.
my goal for the weekend, just to keep
Yeah.
myself
Just
on my
just
toes,
create. Just keep your skills up. Yeah, that's good.
see where
I love that.
things go, right?
Yeah.
And I like after I tried to make that game, I was like, I'm gonna this is what I want to do, and I started making some pixel art, sharing it on Instagram, and I found a Game Boy Color palette, and did this mock-up of a Pokemon battle, but instead of with Pokemon, I was like, I'm gonna do just like a random monster. I think I picked like a succubus or a goblin.
Okay.
Those are like two of the first posts. And but the way that I did it was just like, oh no, there's a goblin. Like I'm about to get my ass kicked kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And I posted that and got a fairly decent response. Like my Instagram account was very, very small at the time.
Mhm.
And like getting those like extra 5 or 6 likes on it was like, this is it. This is
Yeah. I'm
deciding my
doing it.
future
I'm gonna
right
change. I'm
now.
gonna change my whole career.
It's like usually I get 5 or 6 likes, and now I get like 20. Hooray! I've
Hey.
decided this is my focus for the next 2.5
Yeah.
years.
Yeah. Hey,
Um,
every little bit helps.
and that's just kind of what happened. It became like Pokemon, but like edgy, and more for grown-ups, like trying to be like more mature, having lots of profanity, sexual stuff. Just like I grew up playing Game Boys, but I
Mhm.
also grew up. And it's like I don't relate anymore to the 10-year-olds or the 12-year-olds from everybody's favorite RPGs from back in the 90s. Like I don't relate with
Right.
those people anymore. Like I'm in my
Right.
30s now. So and then it just kind of went from there.
Yeah. Nice. So let's talk about the game itself. So, as I've done before, I'm a big time game exec, and how do you, and if anyone who's seen your game and seen any of the posts, you know that there's some profanity in there. But to keep this as family friendly as possible, how would you elevator pitch your game to
Well,
a big time publisher?
hey, so the Edge of Allegoria. It's this game that I'm making. It's a top-down 2D turn-based adventure that's very heavily influenced by the RPGs from the Game Boy era. It's got the 4 colors, all green
Yeah.
aesthetic, turn-based battles, and everything looks and feels like it's made on a Game Boy. But what I've done is just taken everything, cranked it up to 11. I like to think that the writing is sort of like a mashup of um, Tolkien mixed with the boys, and a little bit of Quentin Tarantino,
Okay.
just sort of like all wrapped up in there. And that's basically that's it. That's the game. It's
You know what?
I'm not
Playing.
great at selling it, really. It's like, hey, let me show you this, and then
Yeah. I
see
mean,
what you think, and then
yeah.
react to that.
Right, right. And people watching this video will see me throw up clips of this game as well as the trailer until they can go see it themselves. But yeah, you know what? The way that you said Tarantino and the boys and Tolkien all makes sense now, because now playing your game and reading some of did you do the writing, or did the guy you worked with before do the
Oh
writing
no,
for it?
we parted ways.
Oh,
He
okay.
kind of like went and he wanted to do his own thing, and I was like really into the game stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like, I had no confidence in my writing. And then with Allegoria, I started getting a response, like just being like, this is how I talk. I'm gonna write how I talk,
Right. Okay.
and
Cool.
people actually really like the writing. So
Well, there
I
you
guess
go.
it all worked out. It's like, oh, I guess I am
Nice.
okay at this.
Where did the name Edge of Allegoria come from?
So I had this grand idea that it's going to be this super deep narrative, just full of metaphors, like a soup of metaphorical
Yeah.
nonsense. And I needed a name for the uh, world that everything was. And I was
Okay.
like, what's another word for a metaphor? Allegory.
Allegory. Yeah.
And then I was like,
Okay.
but allegory, you can't. So I went on Google Translate. I typed in allegory and then just like went through every language until I landed on Italian. And I was like, hey,
Yeah.
that Allegoria sounds like a place. This is it. Here we go.
Yeah, so your title came from a Google Translate. I love that. That's great. Yeah, there you go. That's deep. I love it. I love the deep thought process of
So full of
it's
metaphors.
so
It's
full
like
of
this thing.
metaphors. That's great. I love it, man. Yeah, so there's a lot going on in this game. Like you said, it's a top down, like old school Game Boy Color games. It's definitely reminiscent of the old Pokemon games, but you yourself aren't catching anything, at least from the time I played. You are
Not at
the
all.
player character and you are going around and you're just hacking up woodland creatures and goblins and helping the town, helping the guy save his marriage by giving him a goblin heart. So,
Yeah, basically that's it.
which is
You
what
run around,
at the
you
time of
kill
recording,
monsters,
I
you
literally
steal
just
their
did
body
that.
parts, and then you
Yep.
sell it for money. That's
Yeah. Yeah, so let's talk about some of those game mechanics. What one of the things I really enjoyed is that so you get certain weapons and armor. So weapons, you get like a fishing rod and a long sword and a woodcutter's axe and a bow. And what's cool and along with all your gear like bandanas and hats and all that stuff is that you develop mastery over said items and weapons throughout the course of your battles. And once you achieve 100% mastery, and correct me if I'm wrong, those abilities and skills get assimilated into you once you've mastered them.
correct.
So if I
Yeah.
master the longsword ability, I just now have the longsword ability that I can use. Or if I master
Exactly.
this bandana, the stats of the bandana are now on me. So now I can equip, because you can only equip one item at a time.
Yep.
Now I just have those stats. So I think that's a
Yep.
really cool idea of mastering items and weapons to then assimilate those into yourself. So where did that idea come from?
That actually came from I was a huge fan of Final Fantasy Tactics Advance
Okay.
as a kid. I've got
Oh, here we go. We got merch.
I keep the original
Oh.
Nintendo Power Player's Guide handy.
Physical players guides. Man, shout out to
yeah.
Physical.
This thing was like my Bible as a kid because I
Yeah.
played so much Tactics Advance.
Gotcha.
And the idea for the mastery came from that game.
Okay.
With like in order to learn some skills, you would have to have the weapon equipped, and then you would like use the ability that comes with it.
Yeah.
And then you'd be able to master that. And I was like, well, what if we did that with the stats too? What if it gave you a bit of a boost after you've mastered it, and it sort of like adds into your base stats, and then it recalculates your base stats, so it actually grows exponentially as you level up, because you like as you level up your stats grow,
Right.
based on there's some sort of calculation going on in the background, but it's based on base stats similar to how the Pokemon games work.
Okay.
And so those numbers are fixed, but as you master things, it gets added to your base stats, and then as you level up, that grows exponentially. I tried a couple
Oh.
ways of doing the
Yeah.
leveling up where it's like you just master it and it just gets added to your stats, just a
Okay.
flat number.
Okay.
But you wouldn't actually end up being that strong. So as you master things, you get like crazy overpowered as you get way higher, which allows me to ramp up the difficulty curve with the boss battles and the enemy encounters later on in the game. So you could be like level 20 taking on level like 30 monsters because you've mastered enough weapons that you're just like super strong.
That
It
so
feels
it's
good.
okay. It's an exponential curve as opposed to like a linear graph. Okay,
Mhm.
I was okay. That makes sense. I should have read all of the tutorials better, because there's a lot of people, especially in this demo, which a demo is available. People go play the demo right now.
Yes, please.
There's a lot of people you can talk to that spell out the game mechanics, which I think is great. Also, I think it's great because in this demo you face goblins and then you face a goblin king, and there's a guy who's like, "I wish I should have mastered some more stats." So that makes more sense. So mastering more abilities allows you to take on more hard challenges no matter what level you are. I love that. That's a cool idea, and I can't imagine, like I said, I'm not a game dev, like the background mechanics of all that going on. I'm sure that took a lot of tweaking on
There's
your
a
end to
lot of
get that right.
math.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sure that's a
And
lot of math.
in the it's actually interesting, the stats for everything.
Mhm.
I determined that all the main weapons, there's some like hidden like secret weapons and armor
Ooh.
throughout the game, but the main core weapons and armor, if you master them all, your stats will cap at 420 at level 100. That was my like
What? Oh no.
that that was what I based it on. It was just like, it's like it has to be so that your stats add up after you've leveled up, after you've mastered like 100% of the main story weapons. All your stats, your HP, everything will be at 420 when you're at level 100.
That's a nice segue because let's talk about side content in the game. And in you obviously have your main battles, you're going along your main quest and you're fighting enemies, you're helping the town out, but there's some side content like fishing and what you recently put out, rolling weed. you can
Yeah.
you can straight up roll blunts in this
Yeah,
game.
man. That was something like that was part of my whole like it's got to be for grown-ups kind of
Okay.
angle. Because there's like you can roll up a joint, and when you smoke it, there's a shader that actually changes the color of the screen,
Oh.
and the music changes. So every song in the game actually has three versions. So
Oh.
when you smoke the joint, it kind of adds this like little trippy effect, makes it sound just like a little more full. And someone that I talked to that played it before likened the way that the screen changes color to turning on night mode on your phone or on your computer
Okay.
to kind of give that like sleepy feel.
Oh, yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
and then there's you can actually also find mushrooms in the game. You
Okay.
eat those, they heal you up 100%. You walk around for a little bit, and then they kick in, and then the colors start going crazy. There's like this kaleidoscope
Interesting.
pattern on it, and the music changes. And that's always been kind of a mechanic that I've wanted to include since the very beginning, is just having that like the visuals and the audio change if you're using these healing items to recover. There's also like some other like standard like there's food.
Yeah, I
Um,
was gonna mention that there was one that I picked up. There's a bottle of alcohol you pick up that heals
yeah,
you, but if you drink it while you're capped at health, it'll poison you. Which I was
yeah,
like, that's very meta. A lot of meta
right.
commentary, but that's great. I was like, oh yeah, that's real. that's
Yeah,
that's real.
there's
There was
actually there's a painkiller that you can get as well a
oh
little
okay.
little later on, and the more you use them, the less effective they are. So you have to take more of the painkillers in
Oh.
order to heal to the full potential. The more you take them, the less they work. Just sort of having this
Oh.
this
Okay, like a
when I talk
tolerance
about like
stat.
deep metaphors, like this is
Yeah.
the kind. It's like the super subtle, just like, hey, this is a real thing in real life,
Yeah.
like
So it's like a tolerance stat in the background.
yeah, this is like
Yeah.
hidden
Okay.
hidden tolerance thing.
Oh man, reminds me of Max Payne. You ever play the Max Payne games
Yeah,
where you heal?
yeah,
Yeah, you heal yourself by taking painkillers. I'm like, oh yeah, this is totally that.
yeah.
Oh man, two things I was gonna add on like the whole weed thing. I think when you posted this, I made a comment. I was like, when's that Breaking Bad DLC happening?
Yeah. Oh man, I would love to add more. I'm doing this kind of like uh, subversive kind of, hey, the weed and the mushrooms are a lot more fun to use
Okay.
than the alcohol and the painkillers. To
Oh,
sort of
okay.
like keep it natural, folks. If like I
I
by
see.
no means would condone taking any kind of
Sure.
recreational anything.
Yes.
But if you are, be safe,
Be safe.
choose
Be
wisely, kind of
responsible.
thing.
Is there some
Um,
sort of DMT like state where you kind of tear the veil and see all the robotic
yeah.
angels?
So there's actually in one of the later towns, there's this ayahuasca shaman that you could go
What?
you go around, you collect the leaves and the vines and stuff. You
Okay.
bring them to the shaman. He puts them in his concoction,
Yeah.
gives you a tea to drink, and that puts you into a boss rush mode or just an enemy rush mode that
Okay.
you go through and face all of the enemies you've previously defeated,
Okay.
and you get extra experience, like you get bonus experience for battling
Oh.
through this like rush mode. It
Okay.
like strips down, you don't have any of your weapons anymore, you don't have any of your armor on. It's sort of
Wow.
like this, you go through and all you have is just yourself and your memories, and you have to just
Snap.
face everything you've done. It's
Okay.
I'm off on my own, like this is just some crazy
Man,
stuff.
that okay, man. That's a lot going on. Man. One of the more cutesy things in the game as well is that you get to name your own dog.
You do,
You got your
yes.
dog. Yes, I name my
Yeah,
dog George because that's actually my dog in real life. His name is George. So,
right on.
for you, can you pet the dog fans? You can 100% pet the dog. In fact, you can pet the dog all the time because he just randomly teleports in your way to certain places.
That was
So-
he's like my Deus Ex Machina that is just sort of like there to save the day. I use it as a narrative device to like
okay.
block off paths that you're not supposed to go to yet.
Aha. When
I
does he
use that
become a
everywhere.
summon? Is he going to be a
He
summon?
he well, have you've played the demo? Have you died in the demo yet?
I haven't yet.
Okay. Well, he so if you fall in battle,
Okay.
your dog comes to rescue you and will drag you back to the last town that you were in.
Oh, really?
Uh, that's kind of like the in like Pokemon how they do like you blacked out or you
Oh, yeah. You
whited
go to
out or
the
whatever it
Pokemon
is.
Center.
You
Yeah.
rush back. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So in this one, your dog comes in, saves you, takes you back to the town. But
Oh.
another cool mechanic with the dog is after you've beaten the Goblin King, uh, your dog works as your fast travel.
Oh, nice.
So you can pick on your map, and then you just because I mean the dog, relative to the player sprite or any of the other NPCs, the dog is huge.
I know he's
So
like Clifford the Big Red Dog or like
yeah,
Sif from Dark
so you
Souls.
so you ride on the dog, and
Oh.
that's your fast travel.
So instead of the bike, you get the dog.
Yeah,
Do you get a bike eventually? Or will
you
you get a
don't get a
bike?
bike. That's
No bike.
I've been kind of mulling over ways to kind of speed it up a little bit, just because
Okay.
you have to walk
Yeah.
everywhere.
It's a lot of walking.
But I've found in my playthroughs, I do a lot of like as soon as you get to a location, it unlocks the fast travel
Okay.
to that location.
Gotcha.
So you can as soon as you get there, you fast travel
Okay.
it's the whole game is
Yeah.
basically fast traveling
I guess that always
after you've done it.
yeah, I guess it also kind of reminds me of in Pokemon games you can fly with
Yeah,
any of the bird
exactly.
Pokemon you have. Okay.
Except I'm
Yeah.
giving it to you at the beginning of the game
Yeah.
instead of you
That's
have to
very
beat so many badges and find the HM and
oh my
teach it to
gosh. Oh yeah,
yeah.
man. That was tough. I mean, I guess it probably wouldn't be tough now as an adult, but I remember it being tough as a kid playing. I think I played Blue growing up. I was like, I gotta wait so long to get this fly ability, and then I gotta wait so long
Yeah.
to get this bike.
Honestly,
Like,
I don't remember where any of that stuff is now. So
me
it's
neither.
like
I don't either.
if I were to go back and play, it would probably be just as hard as the first time I
Oh
played it.
yeah. I mean, I only have one version of Pokemon on my mind. Any of this new gen stuff, I'm like, I'm out on it. I'm 151 and I'm capped out. So,
Oh, my,
oh, there it
my
is.
Pokemon Yellow.
Hey,
Right
Yellow!
there.
Shout out to the OGs. Yeah. Oh man, love Yellow. Love that. That's cool, man. I'm digging it. So there's a lot of fun things in the game. Like I know, and if you are someone who is averse to the adult things in this game, and I would still urge you to try this one out, just to get a feel for the game mechanics. There's a lot of fun stuff going on, and there's a lot of like cool meta commentary going on. And you have a Kickstarter coming up as well. with the game.
I do.
So in addition
Yes.
to promoting it so much and going to conventions, you have a Kickstarter dropping at some point. When will the Kickstarter be dropping?
So the it was I was actually hoping to start it at the beginning of November,
Okay.
but my schedule kind of just fell apart.
Okay. Yeah.
And I was doing some reading and stuff like that, and was like, maybe I'll push it off to December. And then I
Sure.
read somewhere that December is the worst month to do it.
It
So I was
is
like,
because
okay, maybe I'll
Christmas.
push it off to January. And then my wife was like, no, because everyone's gonna be paying off their credit card bill from all the presents they've been buying in December. So I was like,
Yep.
okay, well, maybe February then. I think that's about as far as I can push it until
Yeah.
I start having to consider maybe not doing one. But
Mm.
that's not going to happen because I have no funding, and I need as much help as I can get. So
Yeah.
it's looking like February is going to be the month of Allegoria.
Just in time for Valentine's Day.
Exactly.
You should release it on Valentine's Day to be funny.
I have actually I have a tentative release date.
Okay.
I haven't announced it yet.
Yeah, that's fine.
But it's Q4 end of 2024
There you go.
is my kind of hopefully that's the hard stop. But development has actually been going really smoothly,
That's
aside
great.
from the occasional writer's block, just because there are so many people in this game to talk to.
You did
But
it.
aside from that, most of the game is pretty close to being done.
That's good.
Um,
Yeah,
so
I meant to ask because there's a demo available right now. Like I said, how much of how much of the content of this game is in the demo? Like time wise, how much are we looking at?
in the demo, you get one dungeon, two dungeons, but one official dungeon,
Oh, okay.
and
Yeah.
one secret dungeon,
Secrets.
um, two official bosses, like main story bosses, one secret boss.
Okay.
Um, Total playtime, if you know where to look, about half an hour, 45 minutes.
Okay.
Um,
So nice vertical
last
slice.
last playthrough I did was about I try to go as fast as I can, like see if I can beat my own time.
Yeah,
Last time
yeah.
I got was like 22 minutes to get to the end.
Okay.
So I was flying. Like
Yeah.
I was going real quick through that.
Okay.
But if you want to like go and explore every detail, master everything 100%, you could be in there for, at least an hour, hour and a half.
Okay. That's pretty
And
good.
I'm hoping to have the game. I've been trying to target 10 to 12 hours total. But my latest sort of compiled build, getting to the sixth town, I think it's like 4 or 5 bosses in, something like that, is about 4.5 hours, and that's maybe about a quarter of the way through the game. So we're looking
Gotcha.
at probably about 20, 30 hours for the game on completion. Um,
Wow. Okay.
it's
That's hefty.
it's huge.
That's
I've got the whole overworld built, and I
yeah.
figured, what, I'm gonna sit down, I turn a timer on, and I'm just gonna walk and
Right.
just walk the entirety of the map. I took out all of the blocks, like the dog's not blocking the way
Yeah,
anymore,
yeah, yeah, for
or
sure.
all the other stuff. I just opened all the doors,
Yep.
turned off the encounters, and just walked. And it took an hour to walk the entire like story route through the
Oh,
game.
okay.
It's huge. Like
Wow,
it's
that's awesome.
massive.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, lot of content going on there. So, yeah, when it drops in February, please back it. Without going, you don't
Please.
have to talk about any dollar amounts, but what kind of stretch goals are we looking at?
Stretch goals. Well, I mean, I guess I could talk a little bit about some of the tiers.
Oh yeah,
Like I'm
yeah, yeah. Go
looking
ahead.
at
Yep.
doing like obviously there's going to be like a straight you can just get the game.
Right.
There'll be some other stuff. I'm looking at including some merch.
Hey, look at that.
Having some t-shirts. I'm looking at doing a physical player's guide.
Okay.
A digital one at the very least. I'd like to
Mhm.
do it's got all the maps, all the weapons, where to
Right.
find everything. Like
Yeah.
going old school, like the old
Yeah,
Nintendo
that's
Power
great. Yeah, and it wouldn't be
player's
an old
guides, things
school
like
like
that.
Game Boy game without a physical player's guide. That's awesome.
I would love to make a physical copy of this game too. I would
Oh
love
yeah.
to be on the Switch and to be able to play
I
it
was
on
gonna
there.
say because only right now it's only available via. It will be available just via Steam, right?
Yes, that's
Yeah,
correct. It's
and I was
just
like,
Steam right now.
yeah, I was like, this needs to be on a handheld. This needs to be on the Switch.
Okay, so if for anyone out there that has a Steam Deck, that's the way to get like it just like playing it in the hand, it feels so good.
Yeah. Hopefully Nintendo doesn't come after you with its Nintendo Ninjas and be like,
Hey.
"What is this? What is this stuff going on?" But I would
Well,
love to
hey,
see this.
I tried. I actually applied for to be an Nintendo developer to be able to get my game on the eShop.
Okay.
They shot me down right quick, but
Yeah.
I uploaded my very first trailer and it was like an uncensored trailer.
Okay.
So they were like, no,
Yeah.
no, you don't belong here.
I
But
mean, well, to me that doesn't make
maybe.
sense because they let Bayonetta on the Switch. So
Yes.
I don't
I mean,
I don't think
there was a lot more nudity in it then than there is now. I have made
yeah.
some censoring to it.
Okay.
So it's I'm hoping if I ask nicely again that maybe they'll let me get on to the eShop
Cuz
eventually.
there's a lot of games that I think from
Oh yeah.
perusing the eShop, there are games that are far worse than yours.
Oh, they're absolutely
Far worse
are.
that they allow on the eShop. I'm like,
But you
hentai's
put
allowed on
that
the
one
eShop?
pixel in the wrong place, and they're like, no, you can't have that.
Yeah, but
So
hentai is on the eShop. So I'm like, what are we
I,
doing?
I don't know, man. I don't
All
make the
right.
rules.
It's like,
As for stretch goals,
yeah.
there's been a couple things that I've been kind of mulling over. First thing is more colors.
Okay.
That's something that like having a selection or being able to even select your own colors.
You know what?
Is
You know what that reminded me of? Have you played? I did a review of this on my channel. It's called For a Vast Future. It is kind of like what your game is doing. It's got that Game Boy style RPG game, but
Mhm.
instead of like Pokemon like attacks, you're using bullets and you're fighting robots and monsters, all that. I'll send you the link to my review
Yeah,
of it because
please.
it's cool. But one of the things that you can do in menu is you can change the color palette. Like you can change from like a red
Mhm.
to a blue to like a more Game Boy aesthetic. So it's that option is there. So
Yeah.
that's
There's
a
a game
cool.
that there's another game that I played that it's Hell is Other Demons.
Okay.
Fantastic indie game. And that's one of like as you play, you can unlock different color
Oh,
palettes as you
sweet.
go. So that's something that I'm
Yeah.
considering doing. Another thing is animations for like the monsters in battle because right now it's all static. And
Right.
the only animations are the attacks. So like
Hmm.
adding things like extra animations, um, things like that. Maybe adding like extra bonus dungeons and stuff like that.
Sweet.
That's one of the tiers. Will be like getting yourself added as an NPC, being able to design your own weapon with your own attack, so you get like your
Oh.
own attack
Oh,
animation,
cool.
and then right up to designing your own secret dungeon where
Nice.
players, they go talk to a certain tree on a certain route. It opens up a door and you can go in and unlock the secret dungeon.
I
Which
want.
I already have a few of those.
I
There's
want.
one in the demo already.
I would love for you to put in like a pixelated version of King Kai from Dragon Ball Z,
Hell
and
yeah.
let me do a spirit bomb, or or do a Kaioken. Let's get Dragon Ball in this game. That would be really funny. Or like have
the
Goku.
possibilities there.
That would be really funny. So yeah, that's cool ideas. I'm digging what you got putting down. Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm enjoying my time. So so you have the Kickstarter coming out. The music for this game, I mentioned for this game is like very reminiscent, very pixelated. A lot of that stuff. Do you have a musical background, or is that just stuff that you've created over the years?
Yeah, actually, the music was my thing.
Oh, okay, cool.
I had originally wanted to be Well, I mean, I really want to be a rock star. I mean, what 13-year-old with a
Who doesn't?
guitar doesn't want to be a rock
I
star? Like
still want
just
to be
sitting
a
in my
rock star.
room playing Led Zeppelin all day, all that
Heck yeah.
stuff.
Oh yeah.
All through high school was just like I'm gonna pursue a music career. I got accepted into a college for music production. Like
Yeah.
I made a bunch of tracks in my closet. I set up a microphone on a laptop and got accepted in. Unfortunately, I couldn't go. Um, Life
Yep.
happened,
Sure.
and I have children.
Hey,
So it's
look at
like,
that.
maybe have to pump the brakes on the whole rock star lifestyle. That doesn't really fit my vibe anymore. So and
Cause who?
then
Cause what
yeah,
rock star is the
music just
dad?
kind of
Yeah.
wow. There's lots.
I know.
Some have way more children than I do.
That's true.
But they it just it wasn't my thing anymore. So
Sure.
music kind of took a back seat when I started doing the 9 to 5 thing,
Yeah.
and music became a hobby. Video games have always kind of been a hobby. Making them, it kind of like I fluctuate between different things here and there, but game development has kind of always been that core. Just like it's always been steady.
Hmm.
Even when it was like when I wanted to pursue music as a career, my hobby would be making games.
Right.
And now, like, as someone who makes games all the time, like my hobby is still making games. Like I work
Yeah.
when I'm not working on the Edge of Allegoria, I'm like prototyping and trying to come up with ideas for the next game, which I
Uh-huh.
have a few ideas for already.
Okay.
And I'm just kind of like getting it lined up so that as soon as Allegoria is done and I can kind of like make sure it's working and stable and keep it all like up to date, I guess. Once I am
Sure.
at that point where it's released, I
Yeah.
can jump right onto the next thing and just sort of keep that seamless transition and just keep making games. It's just
Right.
that's all I want to do all the time.
You're working on the next Elden Ring. I get it.
Well, I, maybe it was pretty close to Elden Ring at one point, and then I started playing Baldur's Gate 3, and I was like, okay, well maybe now I want to make a Baldur's Gate
Oh.
3.
Oh
And then it's
gosh.
like, well, but there's this like I kind of want to have this Smash Bros. Combat, and but then it's like, but turn-based. But
Yeah.
Allegoria is the focus. This is
Yeah.
what we're here to talk about. We're talking about
We're talking.
not the other. Don't get me distracted. I need to
Yeah.
finish this game first.
Just kidding. But yeah. So if you want to support the dream that is the Edge of Allegoria, wishlist the game first of all on Steam, because I continually hear that wishlisting does help developers because it helps them see a lot. Actually, how does wishlisting help? Because I don't think I've really asked that question to Solo Dev. How does that help you?
So from my understanding, and Steam's pretty they like to keep it under wraps a little bit. There's been a lot of like in-depth analysis and stuff about how wish lists work.
Uh-huh.
But from what I've heard, it's something like you reach a certain number of wish lists and the algorithm kicks in,
Okay,
and then
gotcha.
it starts pushing your game to more people.
Okay,
Um, so the more you wish list a game, the more that Steam will work for you rather than just getting lost in the ocean of games that are released every day.
right,
So it's been like getting wish lists is great. Also, the fantastic thing about wish lists is the more people you have on your wish list, the more people will get that email that says this game is out
right.
when the game releases.
Okay, yeah,
So, and then you can kind of like gauge how many people, how many people are on your wish list, how many people are going to buy the game when it releases. You could have like 100,000 wish lists, but it's only going to be a percentage that's actually going to click the link when the email comes in, because a lot of people are just going to like wish list and forget about it.
right.
So it's just
Okay,
sort of like the more you have, the better you have a chance of being successful. Right
right.
now, I could really use those wish lists if you're
Yeah. Hey,
if you feel like wish list in the game, wish list mine, please.
wish list the Edge of Allegoria because it works like the YouTube like system, which if you like this video, it'll push this out to more people, which will allow people to wish list more of your game. It's a self-sustaining economy, if you will. If you wish
Exactly.
list, it will boost us both in the in the algorithm.
Drop a like
And
on the video, leave a comment letting
yeah,
letting Chike know that you wish listed the game, and then share it with your friends to get them to wishlist it too.
There you go. Look at that. Appreciate the promotion. There you go. Yeah. So Joe, man, thank you so much for dropping by on the channel. A lot of fun, a lot of good conversation, and I hope people do wishlist the game. Hope people check out the Kickstarter when it drops next year in February 2024, when everybody's credit card bills are paid up in full and they have the resources that they had before to drop all of the money for this game, so we can help you support your dream, help you make the best game possible. And I can't wait to see the full release, can't wait to see updates, and I definitely want to have you back, kind of a post Kickstarter update to see where we're at, to see how you're doing and see, you know, what's going on. So I would love to hear that, just like I did with Eric and just like I'll do with Jerome. So I can't wait to see where we go from here on the Edge of Allegoria. So check it out. And again, there's a demo available. I will put a link to all of the relevant things in the description of this video. So go ahead and check that out. Click the links and wishlist and do all the things. Like, share, subscribe. My name is Chike, and I will see you on the next one. Peace.